much. We applaud you. Thank you. So we have one more story for you this evening, and here we go. So our final storyteller of the evening, when I asked her to tell me when was the time that she was stopped dead in her tracks, she said, "I'm from New York City. Nothing stops me dead in my tracks." Please welcome Ruth McDaniels.
Hello. The year was 2017. The month is November, the day after Thanksgiving. I finally had decided to have the back surgery that I needed desperately. Months had gone by that I couldn't stand or walk or do virtually anything. I'd become bedridden. The surgery went well. The doctor informed me that if I wanted to get mobility back and gain my strength, I needed to swim. He says, "You got to get in the pool." I said, "Okay." As a member of the Y, I was familiar with the Y. Even though I was a non-attending member since 1993, I was very familiar with the Y. So it's time to go back. I'll swim. But I had some reservation. One thing that bothered me is that I did not want to be around people. I was in a delicate state. I could not be around shoving and pushing, and I had to be somewhat alone. The swimming time began at 6 a.m. I knew that had to be the time that I started swimming because there would be less people in the pool. Not only would there be less people in the pool, it would not smell. I have a problem with my nose. It smells everything. So I would get there at 6, the gym would be clean, and the water would be clean. I also have a phobia. My phobia is I do not like putting my face anywhere where someone's behind was. So I could not put my face in the water, which only left me two options: floating. I began to float and tread water. Treading water in 8-foot deep water. It's a good feeling. 4 lanes, 7 people. 3 of which were in, I'll call it the handicap lane. Really wasn't handicapped. We just did other things other than lap swim. It was myself and my confidant, Miss Claudia, and a gentleman who will remain nameless. I'll say nameless for the not so innocent, and nameless because if I mention his name, he'd probably sue me. So we had the first lane. In this lane, me and my confidant would tread water, have a good time talking, really light, because we had buoyancy. Buoyancy, you know. Everybody doesn't have that, but we had that. While our other lane member would go 6 feet underwater and kickbox underwater without oxygen. He would just do that, angrily, like a mermaid, a male mermaid preparing for war. We didn't bother him. We had our own conversation. So for months, we just talked about things, and I, shared things that I was involved in, and she shared things that she was involved in. And we would go back and forth just lamenting about different things that were not operating the way they should in our community. We knew we were not being treated correctly. There were just things that were going on that were egregious. Basic things, dirty streets, mail delivery, things that were just nagging at you. Poor schools. I'm being on a precinct council and being involved in different things in my community. I would write letters. I wrote letters to everybody. I even wrote Trump a letter. I wrote to the mayor, I wrote to the governor, I wrote to everybody. You know, I had the time because I was trying to heal. I couldn't get out, but I could write an email. I could write emails. People were complaining. So, okay, I'll write a letter. I did that. I wasn't getting much resolve, but it felt good to get it out. Unbeknownst to me, we would have these conversations and just discuss how aggravated we were over and over again. So one day we just decided, you know, something's got to be done. You know, they used to refer to me as the mayor of the pool. I don't say the mayor. I just think that maybe because I introduced some of the people who didn't know each other and made them feel comfortable. Not that I knew them, just wanted them to be comfortable when new people came so it wouldn't be so strange. And I just embraced that, never putting much emphasis on it, and laughing and having a good time. We had gotten to the place where things were just getting worse. And somebody mentioned to me, you know, Matt, why don't you just run for office? I said, run for office? I said, that's crazy. That's the same thing my apostle says in my church. I'm not trying to do that. I have 5 children, 7 grandchildren. I'm on the precinct council. I got things going on. Dirty tree beds, dirty streets. Like, I have nothing else to do but run for city office. That wasn't for me. I ignored them, and it went on, and I kept writing and writing until one day I just was listening to my daughter, and I said, you know, things are not working out here. She had graduated from college. She was working. She was annoyed with me. I was annoyed with her and her other sisters, and my son who's incarcerated. Just things going on. And I'm like, listen, chick, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't like it here, you have the recipe, all the ingredients to get out. You have a degree and a job. Why are you still here? Then I realized she couldn't go anywhere. Everything was so high. The rents were high. Where could she go? Everybody from my community, they were sending out to Far Rockaway or to the Bronx. And I was like, that's crazy. Why aren't our children be able to move down the block or 3 blocks down? Why are we being displaced like this? But then I realized, the dream assassins, the people who controlled everything had set it up so that everybody would be displaced. Dreams would be derailed. The schools were horrible for decades. And I kept saying to the women at this pool, my aqua divas as we called ourselves, this is ridiculous. But then we got into the steam room where we got the people from the gym gems we became. Because now they weren't aqua divas. They just did the hard stuff, ran and bike and stuff like that. But we talked in the steam rooms and the sauna, and they kept speaking about things that we all knew were a problem. And then it came up again, why don't you run? And I said, you know what? I am. I'm going to run. I'm going to run. I'm going to take a stance for this, for my children, for returning citizens, for the community, for all the things that they weren't doing. And we're going to take a stand. So they said, yeah, we'll help you. Now, as a sidebar, let me just give you some understanding. Most of our conversations were had in the buff. We were mostly naked. Either we were getting dressed to go into the pool or the steam room, or we were getting undressed. It was no middle ground with that. Clothes were coming off. So nobody knew what anybody did because we were naked half the time in these conversations, which was something really intimate. In our nudity, we forgot who each other were. We didn't even know who each other were. I have a friend. Her name is Bishop. I thought that was her name, coming from law enforcement. We called each other by last name, McDaniels, Bishop, whatever, not realizing that she was actually a bishop of a church. Go figure. Then my confidant, Miss Claudia, who happens to be the has a doctorate of English. A doctor? And then we had a real doctor, a real medical doctor. And then we had artists, and we had judges, and we had professors, and we had teachers, and we had all of these things in place. So they said, we'll help you. I said, you would help me? They said, yes, we'll help you run. I said, okay. So now they had the Dream Assassins, and we had developed the Dream Catchers. We were going to get in front of this thing. And no longer would we have our communities derailed, but we would put things in place that would help the community that we represented. That's when I realized we had to fight. Even though things were choking us up, making us think we couldn't breathe, we had to fight. We had to take a stance and fight, which made me think about my little mermaid. All along, he was fighting. We didn't know. We didn't know what his fight was, but when he was at the bottom of the pool, not breathing, fighting whatever he had to deal with that day. And instinctively, I knew that we all are fighting something, that we all have a desire to change something and do something, and we have to do it. Even if it's in the unexpected places, out of your comfort zone. I'm so out of my comfort zone. But I do realize this. I have the Dream Changers, and they're good people, even with their clothes on. They're really, really valiant women. They're valuable, and they're smart, and they bring substance. And together, we can do the changing. And I say to everybody, if you know that there's something that needs to get better or change, you need to do that. Because essentially, we are our brother's keepers. We are responsible for one another. Because what affects me will ultimately affect you. And we have to be the change we want to see. So yes, I'm running, absolutely, for city council. Look for me in the next election. And my Dream Changers, we're going to be there making things happen in the future. Thank you.
That's Ruth McDaniels, everyone. I got chills. Just beautiful, beautiful. Everyone, that is our show this evening. I want you all that are watching at home to stick around and watch the credits. We got some photos that our storytellers submitted in there.